Hey there, friends. Tracey Bryant Stuckey, NBPTS Master Coach, back to talk about a question people are asking in Component 3. And for all the high school teachers out there, this is a high school question, really. But I think you'll all kind of benefit from it. So as teachers join my C3 course, many of them come into the live cohort, which is always open to join. You can join and jump out and jump back in. It's a membership subscription that can be canceled anytime. And this question was a powerful one that we had around my point of view on the pros and the cons of working with AP and pre-IB students for Component 3. Now, you all that are in elementary can think of this as working with your gifted population versus your students who are intervention or just bubble on the normal trajectory in your classroom. And so specifically it is, what strategies and group structures have you seen work really well? So to answer the first part of this question inside of Think Tank, I was able to break this down. Again, my opinion only for what it's worth. The pros of using those types of students in your high school filming and work for C3 is you really can deepen the rigor in your discussions and have a lot more complex thinking and analysis going on between you and the students. There's typically a higher level of complexity in those lessons, which pushes more content, which is always really good. And then student engagement is typically higher and discussion is typically richer. That doesn't mean that it's always, but it typically is. Now, the cons of this, which really are probably equal to the pros. So I would say either way you could go with this. I've seen people use their AP and their pre-IB classes with lots of success. But if there were cons, it would be these. Teachers sometimes neglect the essential role of the teacher in guiding, scaffolding, and addressing individual student needs as they let the kids lead the majority of the learning. So then we're measuring what you're doing as a teacher. And yes, it's very important that they own their learning. They have agency. It is student-centered, but the teacher has to have a role. Sometimes rigor is compromised. If that is the case, or if the teacher isn't confident enough in deepening the content for this level of student or scaffolding it. Sometimes high achieving student lessons sometimes seem too non-differentiated, or there may be gaps in understanding for some kids, but it's not really recognized. And there may be a lack of structured support back to the idea that the students are leading their own learning. And then sometimes I see AP teachers wanting to just push in lessons around preparation for the standardized AP exam and not really utilizing the national board content standards for their area. So be cognizant of that and understand this is all about content. And so what are some lesson structures with those higher level students, no matter what class you're in, whether it be a foreign language or English or math or science or social studies? Inquiry-based lessons have worked really well. But again, what's your role as the teacher? What's their role as the student in the lesson? Socratic seminars or discussions, debates have worked well. Multimedia presentations, but not just them sharing their multimedia presentations. That's not going to be worthy of the national board, C3. Collaborative projects have always been easy to meet the rubric with that group, and closed reading type activities that are encouraging students to actively engage in complex texts if you're ELA teachers and analyze in different ways. So we look at this, as I said, and we say, what would the teacher role be and what would the student role look like? So now each has a role and you're going deep into content. Content is so super important here. Now, when you think about the national board and your guide for the national board, I want all of you to remember the value of pages 9 and 10. This is something I talk about routinely, probably every week that we are in live, which is every other Monday night, 7 p.m. Eastern for C3 people. C4 is on Tuesday night at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. But I want you to remember the value of pages 9 and 10, which this is AYAELA, all the letters. They get me every time. And so these 2 pages, 9 and 10, this is the rest of it for you people in AYAELA. It tells you what should be combined in these 2 videos. And so if we're thinking about the pre-IB AP student and we're looking at these are really the feedback statements that the assessors are going to impose on your work if you need a feedback statement. And they're also grounded in the rubric and the standards for the National Board for your area. So read through these feedback statements. Know that these are the things between the 2 videos the assessors are going to be looking for, and then be very mindful of your role and the student role in the videos, and think there are always going to be pros and cons. Always, always, always in anything, even if you even if you film students who are a lower level, there's going to be a con and there's going to be a pro. So you really want to guide yourself from the rubric for the National Board for the C3 and from those pages 9 and 10 inside of your guide for this area. I hope that helped. If you loved it, if you want more, if you have questions, or if you just want to hear everybody else's and see how I coach them through it, join the think tank. You have to join C3 course first, then you can join the think tank. It's better than a subscription to Netflix. I promise. I'll see you there. Bye now.